Hello everyone, and welcome back. I hope you've been doing well lately, wherever you are right now. Maybe you're on your way home after a long day. Maybe you're sitting quietly by a window with a warm cup of tea. Maybe you're lying in bed, hoping to let your thoughts slow down. Or perhaps you're simply taking a short break from everything life has asked of you today. Whatever this day has been like for you, I'm really glad you're here. For the next little while, you don't have to hurry. There is nothing you need to finish and nowhere else you need to be. Just take a slow breath in and a slow breath out. Let's spend a few quiet moments together. This morning, while I was making breakfast, I noticed something I hadn't paid attention to for a long time. The kettle was heating the water. The kitchen was quiet. Soft morning light was coming through the window, and everything felt calm. I reached for my phone without even thinking. Then I stopped. There wasn't anything important to check. No urgent message. No new email. It was simply a habit. So I put my phone back on the table and waited. I listened to the sound of the water. I watched the steam slowly rise into the air. Outside, I could hear a few birds singing. It only lasted for a minute or two, but somehow it became my favorite moment of the morning. That small moment made me think about something. How many quiet moments do we miss every day? Not because they aren't there, but because we're too busy to notice them. Life has a way of keeping us busy. We wake up, we make breakfast, we get ready for work, we answer messages, we solve problems, we finish one task, and another one quickly takes its place. By the time evening comes, we're tired. Sometimes we even wonder where the whole day went. Maybe you've felt that too. You look at the clock, and somehow it's already 6 o'clock. You remember being busy all day, but you can hardly remember the day itself. The hours seem to disappear. I don't think this happens because we're doing something wrong. Life is simply full. There are people who need us. There are responsibilities we cannot ignore. There are bills to pay, meals to cook, houses to clean, and plans to make. Being busy is part of life. But sometimes, without realizing it, we become so focused on the next thing that we stop noticing the thing we're doing right now. We drink our coffee while reading the news. We eat lunch while thinking about work. We walk outside while looking down at our phones. Even when we finally have a chance to rest, our minds are already thinking about tomorrow. It's almost as if we've forgotten how to stay in one moment. I think that's something many of us share. We keep telling ourselves that we'll slow down later. Maybe after this busy week. Maybe after this project. Maybe after the holidays. But then another busy week arrives. Another project begins. Another reason to wait appears. Little by little, we begin to believe that peace is something waiting for us in the future. But what if it isn't? What if peace has been quietly visiting us every single day? Maybe it was there when the morning sunlight touched your window. Maybe it was there when someone smiled at you in the supermarket. Maybe it was there in the first sip of your coffee, or in the cool evening air as you walked back home. These moments don't ask for much. They don't need to be perfect. They don't last very long. But they remind us that life is more than a list of things to do. Life is also made of small moments. The smell of fresh bread from a bakery. The sound of rain on the roof. A gentle breeze on a warm afternoon. A favorite song playing while you wash the dishes. A quiet room before everyone else wakes up. These moments may seem ordinary. In fact, they're so ordinary that we often forget they're there. But sometimes The most ordinary moments become the ones we remember the most, not because they changed our lives, but because, for a little while, they helped us slow down. And perhaps that's what today's journey is really about. Not finding a perfect life, not escaping from our responsibilities. Simply learning to notice the quiet moments that have been beside us all along. For a long time, I believed that peaceful people had easier lives. I imagined they had fewer problems, more free time, less stress. I thought they had somehow found the perfect balance. But over the years, I started to notice something different. The people who seemed the calmest were not living perfect lives. They still had busy mornings. They still worried about their families. They still had bills to pay. They still got tired after work. Some of them were raising children. Some were taking care of elderly parents. Some were working long hours. Their lives looked very much like everyone else's. So what made them feel different? I don't think it was because they had fewer responsibilities. I think it was because they knew how to slow down for a little while. I remember meeting an older man in a small park one afternoon. He came there almost every day. Sometimes he brought a book. Sometimes he didn't read at all. He simply sat on the same wooden bench and watched the trees move in the wind. One day, I asked him, "Do you come here often?" He smiled and said, "Almost every afternoon." I asked him if he ever got bored. He laughed softly. "No," he said, "the trees are never exactly the same." At first, I didn't really understand what he meant. A tree is just a tree, I thought. But after sitting there for a few minutes, I started to notice little things. The leaves moved differently every time the wind blew. The sunlight kept changing as clouds passed overhead. Birds landed on different branches. Children laughed somewhere in the distance. Nothing was exciting. Nothing was extraordinary. Yet the park didn't feel boring at all. It felt alive. That afternoon stayed with me for a long time. Not because something important happened, but because it reminded me that we often stop looking carefully. We see things, but we don't always notice them. We hear sounds, but we don't really listen. We walk through familiar places, but our minds are somewhere else. Perhaps that is why ordinary days sometimes feel empty. Not because nothing happened, but because we weren't really there. These days, I try to do one small thing differently. When I walk to the supermarket, I don't always wear headphones. Sometimes I simply listen. I hear bicycles passing by. I hear people talking as they walk together. I hear the wind moving through the trees. Sometimes I even hear my own footsteps. It may sound like a very small change, and it is, but it changes the way the walk feels. The distance is still the same. The road hasn't changed. I'm still going to buy the same groceries. But somehow, the journey feels calmer. I think many of us spend a lot of time waiting. Waiting for the weekend. Waiting for a holiday. Waiting for life to become easier. There's nothing wrong with looking forward to those things. They give us something to enjoy. But if we only wait for special days, we may miss most of our lives. After all, most of life isn't made of holidays. It's made of Mondays, Tuesday mornings, Wednesday afternoons, quiet evenings at home, simple dinners, laundry waiting to be folded. A cup of tea before bed. Maybe those ordinary moments deserve a little more of our attention. Not because they are exciting, but because they are our life. We don't need every day to be unforgettable. We only need to be present often enough to remember that even an ordinary day can hold something beautiful. Maybe it's the smell of dinner coming from the kitchen. Maybe it's a message from an old friend. Maybe it's the first cool breeze after a hot afternoon. Or maybe it's simply the feeling of coming home, taking off your shoes, and knowing that you made it through another day. Sometimes that's enough. And sometimes enough is a beautiful place to begin. When we were children, we noticed almost everything. A butterfly could keep our attention for several minutes. We could watch raindrops slowly slide down a window. We could spend a whole afternoon building something with blocks or drawing pictures that didn't have to be perfect. We weren't thinking about tomorrow. We weren't checking the time. We were simply enjoying what was in front of us. Somewhere along the way, that became harder. As adults, our minds are often somewhere else. We make breakfast while thinking about work. We drive home while planning tomorrow. We sit with our families, but part of our mind is still reading an email or remembering something we forgot to do. It's understandable. Life asks a lot from us. But sometimes I wonder what we miss while we're always looking ahead. A few evenings ago, I went for a short walk after dinner. I didn't have a destination. I just wanted some fresh air. The streets were quiet. A few people were walking their dogs. Someone was watering the plants in front of their house. A little boy was riding his bicycle while his father walked beside him. Nothing unusual was happening. It looked like a completely ordinary evening. Then I noticed the sky. The sun had almost disappeared, but the clouds were still glowing with soft shades of orange and pink. I stopped for a moment. So did another person across the street. We didn't speak. We simply looked up at the same sky for a few seconds before continuing our walk. It made me smile. That beautiful sunset had been there for everyone. Some people noticed it. Some people didn't. The sunset didn't ask anyone to stop. It didn't make a sound. It simply appeared, as it always does. I think many beautiful things are like that. They don't ask for our attention. They quietly wait to be discovered. The smell of clean sheets after laundry. The sound of rain while you're safely inside. The first sip of coffee on a cool morning. Fresh fruit on the kitchen table. The feeling of warm sunshine on your face during winter. A gentle breeze coming through an open window. None of these moments lasts very long, but together they become part of a good life. Sometimes we believe happiness has to arrive in a big way. A new house, a better job, a dream vacation. Those things can certainly bring joy, but they don't happen every day. Ordinary moments do. Every single day gives us small opportunities to slow down. The question is whether we notice them. I once heard someone say that we treat ordinary days as if they don't matter. We hurry through them, waiting for something special to happen. But one day, we look back and realize that ordinary days were our life all along. I have never forgotten that thought. It reminds me to be a little more careful with my time. Not more productive, just more present. These days, I have a small habit. Before I leave the house each morning, I open the front door and pause for just a few seconds. I take one slow breath. Sometimes the air feels cool. Sometimes it's warm. Sometimes I can hear birds. Sometimes I hear nothing at all. It's only a few seconds. Then I continue with my day. That tiny pause doesn't solve my problems. My work is still waiting. My responsibilities are still there. But I begin the day feeling a little calmer. And I've learned that small changes often grow into something bigger. One quiet minute can become a peaceful morning. One peaceful morning can change the way we experience the rest of the day. Perhaps peace doesn't arrive all at once. Perhaps it grows quietly, one ordinary moment at a time. Maybe that's why we don't always notice it. It's not loud. It doesn't ask to be seen. It simply waits for us to slow down long enough to see that it has been there all along. Before we finish today, I'd like to leave you with 3 small invitations. Not rules, not goals. Just simple ideas that you can try whenever they feel right. The first invitation is to do one ordinary thing without rushing. It could be making your morning coffee, washing the dishes, folding your clothes, watering a plant. While you're doing it, try not to think about the next task. Just stay with that moment. Notice the sounds around you. Notice the temperature of the water. Notice how your hands move. You don't have to make the moment special. Just let yourself be there. The second invitation is to look up. Tomorrow, before you go inside your office, before you leave the supermarket, or before you walk into your home, take a few seconds to look at the sky. Some days, it will be bright blue. Some days, it will be covered with clouds. Some evenings, it will be painted with soft colours. Other days, it will look completely ordinary. It doesn't really matter. The important thing is that for a few seconds, you stop looking at your phone and look at the world instead. You may be surprised by how calming that simple habit can feel. The third invitation is for tonight. Before you go to sleep, ask yourself one small question. What was one good moment today? It doesn't have to be something big. Maybe someone smiled at you. Maybe your lunch tasted better than you expected. Maybe you heard your favorite song. Maybe you enjoyed the quiet after everyone else had gone to bed. Maybe you laughed. Maybe you finally had a chance to sit down and rest. Whatever it was, let yourself remember it. Our minds are very good at remembering problems. Sometimes they need a little help remembering peaceful moments too. I know that life isn't always easy. Some days feel heavy. Some weeks don't go the way we hoped. There are times when we're tired before the day even begins. There are moments when we don't feel calm at all, and that's okay. You don't have to feel peaceful every day. You don't have to pretend everything is fine. Peace isn't about having a perfect life. It's about finding small places where your heart can rest, even for a little while. A quiet morning, a slow walk, a favorite song, a warm shower after a long day, fresh air through an open window, the sound of rain before you fall asleep. These moments won't solve every problem, but they can remind us that life is not only made of worries. It is also made of kindness, of warmth, of simple moments that ask for nothing except our attention. Perhaps tomorrow will be another busy day. There will probably be messages to answer, work to finish, places to go, people who need your time. That's part of life. But I hope that somewhere in your day, you'll find one quiet moment that belongs only to you. Maybe it will last just a minute, maybe only a few seconds. That will be enough. Because sometimes, one peaceful moment is all we need to remember ourselves again. Thank you for spending these quiet moments with me today. I truly appreciate you being here. If this time together helped you slow down, even a little, I hope you'll come back and join me again. Until next time, be kind to yourself. Take things one day at a time, one step, one breath, one quiet moment at a time. Take care, my friend. Goodbye.